The getting started part, we have 3 phases. First, we have to get approval. We gotta secure the administration to support and launch the program. I need you guys' support to do this. The phase 2 is the pilot episode, where we develop an episode in the first semester, show it off, and get a good response from it. And then phase 3 is the full launch, where we do everything that we can as far as media goes. I'm not asking for funding today, I'm just asking for support. I have some equipment of my own, cameras that I have that are Netflix approved already, mics that I have that are Netflix approved already. I'm just looking for a green light to move forward in this situation and to help our kids get into what I think is the new age of media and technology, and everything that they like to do. And it goes hand in hand with education, because you can do a lot of different things through media. That's all I have for today, and I'm open for any questions you guys have.
I do have an initial question. Have you had a program like this somewhere before, or is there some?
What I have done before was a studio. I had about 4 rooms in the studio, and I had it for 2 years, where we created content inside of there. I did interviews, hired people for podcasts, hired a camera person to take pictures. She did baby shoots, marriages, things of that nature. So I had that for 2-3 years until I decided to move on.
Okay, and is this geared towards high school kids? Or?
No, it was geared towards media, period.
Okay.
But like I said, it was a lot of students that I used.
I'm talking about your proposal today.
Yes, my proposal is straight Trotwood. So when I had that building, I was using a lot of Trotwood students to get some stuff done, which why I came and decided to propose that today.
So is there a possibility for like middle school kids or younger
Yes,
kids?
this is for all ages throughout Trotwood.
Okay.
I don't want to just show to just the high schoolers. I want that morning Ram Nation TV show to be for the kids, or have a variation for the kids, but that's something that I want to talk about later down the line.
I know you have connections in the building and everything. Have you talked about how you would incorporate this with current curriculum, and what departments inside of the school you would work with to launch it?
I've talked to a couple of teachers as far as Corwin and I just forgot his name, but I talked to a couple of different people about interviewing them as far as the English and science departments goes, but I haven't done any other research outside of that.
And I guess initially you said you won't need any funding. Have you kind of thought about what future funding would look like, how that would look?
Yes, I have an idea of a range, but once again, I worked at Trotwood, and I know we have the library facility with the green room and with some cameras. I'm sorry about that. You already have the base there. It's just about deciding where to go from there.
What type of technologies will you use? Will you be introducing the kids to like ChatGPT or artificial intelligence?
Yes, ChatGPT, Gamma, the video editors, Adobe software, and of course with the cameras, using your iPhone better, because you can use your iPhone for a lot of different things, with the mic and audio mixing and stuff as well, video editing as well too. Also graphic designing as well too, that's big, and I know a lot of people need that for as far as like events or things that go on in Trotwood. That's stuff that you guys could do in-house and put on the students, where they are gaining that experience and can put that on their resume for future endeavors. Thank you.
Now, so will you individually run this program, or will you need a team of people?
I have a team of people, all who graduated from Trotwood, ready to go, and this is what they do for their life right now too. So it's just me coming up here. I don't believe in doing anything by myself.
And so you're gonna do this totally free?
No, I don't think I could do it totally free,
Oh,
but
okay.
there is.
So we'll have to talk about that future funding.
Yes, there is
Okay.
a way that this can pay for itself and
Okay.
bring in money for Trotwood through ad sponsorships, through getting money off of YouTube,
Thank
through
you.
getting money through TikTok.
Okay. Makes sense now.
hmm That's all? No other?
She answered.
I'm here. I'm ready to answer anything.
So would this program happen after school, before school?
During school, right?
It could happen after school, during school, it depends on how many people we have. And I know there are some classes that Trotwood already has that I know, once again, I was in the building where we can pull out and we can come and discuss some of those different things. But I'm willing and to figure that out, I'll do.
So you would have like a schedule, like, say Mondays you at Madison Park, Tuesday you at the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
So I think our next step is probably get a little more information and sit down and have a conversation
I like,
to see how we can,
I like.
we can,
And if you could just
Support
put
this.
something together for the
I
money
can-
part, what it would look like, what you think it might estimate it, cause I mean, nothing is free. I mean,
Right,
let's be
correct.
real.
real.
And
Correct.
if
the
you could-
statement up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'll raise my hand and
Yeah.
say, I actually told him
Not
not to
to,
bring.
yeah.
And it's okay, it's okay,
Just show the-
it's okay.
But I do like that you said,
Yeah,
like,
if
it can be
you-
paid for by ads.
Yes.
TikTok, there's money to be made on social media.
It's a lot of money
Yes.
to be made.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And that would be something good to show the children that they can streamline
Monetize
and
off of, yes, ma'am.
yes, different revenue streams. I like it.
I like it.
Do you know of any other districts that are,
I know districts that are streaming, so like the big thing, for me was like streaming the basketball games and stuff like that. I know people that are streaming games and putting it on TV and things of that nature, but nobody has it to where it's a setup where people are actually talking or analyzing and getting those kids like on air actual experience. I know people have media programs, but nothing of what I'm trying to bring to the table.
Okay.
I like it. It reminds me of CSU in the morning. And it will expose the kids to something, I think, dynamic. I like it.
When I was doing it, and to be totally honest, when I was doing it at the school, they took to it well. Like they were coming to class and deciding to do it, but I was just, it was a lot going on with the school and what's going on, and I didn't really get to talk to who I needed to talk to try to expand the program. So that's on my end, and that's why I decided to come and do it this way, especially talking to Aaron.
I love it. Giving kids another option, career path.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I love it.
all right, so I'll get with Mr. Byrd, a little later, and we'll see how we can, work together to try to make something happen.
Great job, Mr. Byrd.
Right.
Appreciate it.
2010 alumni.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now we'll resume to our agenda. Number 3 is the treasurer's report.
Yes, this evening I have 3 items for you for action. The first one is the June 2025 financial reports. There was a finance committee meeting that was held before the business meeting. Also an FYI that the entire financial report is under the executive tab on board docs for the board members. There are 3 reports that I wanted to go over. The first one is the cash reconciliation for June. And the bank and investment cash balances amounted to $26,484,643.53, with outstanding checks and adjustments. The adjusted bank balance and district balance is equal to $26,392,870.61, which is equal to the Meta financial system. The second report is a spending plan summary for the month of June, as well as a fiscal year-to-date through the month of June, and that equals from July to June for FY '25. There were revenues total for fiscal year-to-date $40,417,578.38. The expenses amounted to $47,063,448.81. That resulted into a deficit spend for the year of $6,645,870.43. What I did explain at the Finance Committee this evening was $1 million of that we actually moved to Fund 70. So it's actually, if you want to take the $1 million out, the deficit spend was $5.6 million. And then the third set of reports was checks over $1,000 for the month of June, and there were no questions that we wanted to present this evening. So if you could look through that, and if you did have any questions, hopefully we can answer those questions.
Is that it for the treasurer's report? Is it-
Yeah, I would like action on that, please.
I know, I was taking, I didn't wanna move too fast. 'Cause you-
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay,
I
thank
need a
you.
motion to approve the May 2025, that should be June, right? It should be June.
Mhm. June 2025 financial,
I know, but it says May. Just-
oh, my bad. Okay.
Financial reports.
Okay, yes, okay. I don't know why it says May. Okay.
I need a motion.
I motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved to second. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes for the June 2025 financial reports.
Okay, so the second item I have is a resolution to amend the final appropriations for period ending June 30th, 2025, that was originally approved on June 26, 2025. The reason why I'm bringing this back to you is because we needed to update the appropriation document to include the $1 million for Fund 70. Also, there was a $300,000 transfer to the Permanent Improvement Fund and an additional $40,000 of additional appropriations. So that total that you approved on June 26 was $1,340,000 less than what I'm presenting today. So we basically are trying to move this document as if it was approved on June 26, because if we don't, the appropriations won't cover all of the expenses. And so I would like to ask for action on that resolution as well.
Are there any questions? Need a motion to amend the final appropriations for period ending June 30th, 2025, that was originally approved on June the 26th, 2025.
All motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Motion passes to amend the final appropriations for the period ending June 30th, 2025. That was originally approved on June 26th, 2025.
And the last item I have is a resolution to authorize myself to establish and maintain accounts with Key Bank. The reason I'm asking you guys for action on this, if you remember, we plan to consolidate most of our investment accounts under Red Tree. Key Bank is the only investment company that is requiring us to pass a resolution to do this. And so the question was raised, my name will be on it. We're trying to move the money before my last day on July 31st, and that's why my name is on it. So once we do that, Key Bank the investment would no longer exist. And so we're trying to do that. After you all approve it today, I'll send it tomorrow, and then hopefully we can move the money to Red Tree. And so I'm asking this evening for you guys to approve this resolution to name me, or to authorize me to be the person to establish and maintain accounts with Key Bank. And keep in mind, we went back and forth on this because I've been doing business with Key Bank since I got here 14 years ago. So we didn't understand, Red Tree and myself, we didn't understand why, but they're under a new platform, Pershing, they're another platform. and they're requiring this. So that's why I was bringing it to you guys.
And after 7/31,
What happens?
Rick, there's no
Account. It
longer,
will be-
Key
okay,
Bank will no
it goes
longer be,
under
so,
rent
and it
okay.
might, this document will be null and void, because there won't be any Key Bank
Okay.
investments.
So you're saying you're sure that all of this will take place before 7/31?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they made you do a resolution so that they could keep the money for that.
Yeah. I didn't say that, Mr. Logan, but that's what I thought. Yes, I mean, yeah.
Hang on to the money
I
a little
can't hear
longer. You said hang on to the money a little longer?
Yeah.
With the interest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
are there any questions? Other questions? Additional? I need a motion for the resolution to authorize Mrs. Janice Allen to establish and maintain accounts with Key Bank.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
and Mr. Lumpkin,
Abstain.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes.
And so when you just did that, I demanded. And that's all I had this evening.
Okay. Moving on to item number 4, superintendent's report.
Thank you. I do have several items this evening. The first 4 are for information. The second is for approval. The last, I'm sorry. Item A is the approval of the in lieu of transportation payments and the acknowledgement of, let me go back. It shouldn't say in lieu of. What this is this is the approval of the schools that we are declaring non-practical at this point. And this is a list of all of those students that attend those non-publics, charters, and on a yearly basis, we have to declare these schools non-practical to transport. And then we'll come back towards the middle of the year with a list of these same individual students that we have to pay in lieu of transportation. And last year, I believe the in lieu of transportation number was right around $500.
536.
$536.
For the year?
Yeah, for the year.
Yes,
Mhm.
for
So-
each child.
Each child, right.
Okay.
So, when we come back to the board, we will have, likely the same list unless we get some additional students. And then we'll approve the in lieu of payment. But this is the list that the list of schools that we are declaring impractical for transportation this year.
I just want to make sure that this for voucher.
Say that again, sir?
The voucher.
For a lot of the
We call it
students.
in lieu of transportation. But the community should know that because of the state of Ohio's laws, this is one of the vouchers public schools pay.
So what I will do is I will have the list, for next week. I will have it, not next week, but next month, I will have it retitled so it does speak exactly to what this is. This is the list of schools that we are declaring impractical, not in lieu of transportation. And that is for information this evening.
So do you know the
It's a
total
total.
dollars that we pay out, Mr. Howard?
Usually, I can't speak to the actual number, but if you think about 500, depending on the number of kids, sometimes between $50,000 or $60,000, guesstimation.
Okay.
Which, for us, it appears to be a big number, but when you start thinking about what it costs for bus drivers, what it costs to try to logistically get these kids to, we'd have to hire 10 different bus drivers, because all of these schools, they have different starting times, they have different ending times. So it's a lot more practical for us to declare them impractical and then to just pay the $500 cost. And there is some state guidance on how that works, because we often get folks who have kids that live in Trotwood that send their kids outside of what we have. We have a 30-minute threshold from the time that they leave school, and we actually have to drive that threshold. So from the time that they leave our school building or our central office building and go to another school, if it's outside of 30 minutes, we are not responsible for that transportation.
Okay.
But everything under 30 minutes, and it's a certain mileage, I can't remember exactly what that is offhand, but we kind of stick to that 30-minute, that 30-minute parameter. But everything under 30 minutes, we are responsible for that payment, that in lieu of payment, if we don't provide transportation. Years ago, we used to provide transportation to places like Chaminade, Julian, and it just got too expensive. The more kids we had here, the more kids they got over there. We just weren't able to, we weren't able to meet the time restraints, the time of getting kids there. So it just became a lot easier for some of those kids, especially when you look at the list, you see some of the ones and twos, putting a kid on a bus to take them to Troy Christian is just something that we just can't do. So we just pay those kids out.
Okay.
All right? I know that was a lot of information, but I'm glad that the conversation took place so I can give you a little context towards that. So that is for information this evening, and again, I will update the statement to say declaring impractical.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Have we looked at like families that were not paying out and what the difference in cost was, or we just said we're gonna just do in lieu of transportation for everyone that's in the district?
Explain it.
So, there's still students right now that we do actually bus to other
That we
schools.
transport, yes.
Like, have we looked at what the cost difference it would cost us to bus them to those schools versus if we just paid out the money?
So, it's a great question. So the schools that we have narrowed down from, at one time, we were taking kids to probably 11 different schools via our transportation. So we've narrowed that down to about 4 or 5, and they are all within a close proximity to Trotwood. When you start looking at like North Dayton School of Discovery, you start looking at Trotwood Prep. There's one right there off of Wolf Road. I can't remember the name of that. So we have been able to incorporate those close proximity districts into our transportation run, especially like North Dayton and Trotwood Prep, because it's on the way. But as far as what your question was, no, we haven't intentionally, because those schools were in close proximity, but all of those other schools that were just on those outskirts.
I wonder what the difference would be if we said, and we're just gonna pay you in lieu of transporting your kids. How much would that give us the ability to add more of our fleet to the people who chose to stay at Trotwood-Madison?
Right.
Would it be worth taking a look at that? You understand what I'm
Yeah,
asking?
and we've been through some, and I don't know if remember maybe around 2004. You might have been away at school. 2004, 2005. The district actually made a statement that we weren't going to transport any kids outside of the kids in our district. And of course, that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and there was a ruling that took place. So what we did is from within the last 5 or 6 years, we narrowed that down to close proximity. But we can definitely take a look at that. We do have one school where we transport 30 kids to that school. The 30 kids that we transport to that school. So declaring them impractical would probably be non-beneficial to us. But we have to wait on that list every year to get those number of kids. Last year was 30. And that number fluctuates for that school. Last year was 30. 1 year is 22. But we have really narrowed that number down. It just, because when you start talking about paying a bus driver or 2 bus drivers, and you start talking about insurance, especially on bus drivers with insurance. You start talking about benefits, you know, sometimes, not sometimes, it's just easier just to write that $500 check to those kids.
I like Mr. Lumpkin's thought process though.
Yeah, because, I mean, hey, if we believe in school choice, if you make the choice to go to another school that's outside of our district,
Why should we
then
pay
maybe,
for it?
maybe we should put our resources into transporting our parents that choose to stay in our district.
Especially under circumstances with bus drivers and where we are now.
Right.
But it could definitely be something that I have Ms. Starks look into and just kind of put together some raw numbers and bring it back to the board and have some discussion.
Maybe not at the start of the school year when they start in a couple weeks, but give her a minute to catch her
It'll be
breath.
rough- it'll be
Give her a
rough to
minute to
do that
catch her
now.
breath.
Yeah, but as we,
No,
Yes.
as we
it's
progress.
just,
Yes,
as we
let her catch her
start
breath.
looking into,
The
you
start
know,
of the school year is
Be-
rough
Because we
enough.
went through that exercise with some of those other schools that we were taking. I mean, we did it in the sense where Ms. Starks and I sat down and said, you know what? It's gonna be cheaper just to pay these folks out because we can't get 5 or 6 kids on a bus and take them to five different
Right.
schools. So, we did do that exercise a few years ago, and like I said before, we've gone from, you know, at one point, 13 or 11, I can't remember the exact number of schools. We were transporting to 13 different schools at one time. And we've narrowed it down to 4 or 5. But, yeah, I'll have her work up something, and we'll sit down and we'll take a look at that.
And just for clarification, is it $500 per family or per student?
Per
student.
family.
Okay,
No, it's per student.
student.
okay.
What'd you say?
It's per student.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
per student. Yeah,
Okay.
per student, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you're talking about if someone has multiple children?
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Because I don't know why we,
yeah.
We probably should look into per family.
Yeah, because why we pay-
We don't make that decision.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah,
but-
yeah, we don't make, the state of Ohio makes that decision. Yeah,
It's
state
a
of Ohio
law.
make that decision. Yeah, they send us a update every fall and say the, in lieu of transportation, cost this year will be this. And the last, I believe from the last 3 years, it's jumped up about $250.
Yes, it's-
Because we used to be right around, 250 or so. But, now it's reached that $500 mark in excess of that.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
No problem. Item B is the approval of student activity purpose statement for the junior ROTC budget at Trotwood-Madison High School. There is an attachment there that walks you through, what expected expenses are, how they raise that money, and some of the things that they plan to do to spend those funds that they've raised. And as you can see, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Graves does an outstanding job of outlining the things that he does to raise those funds for the JRTC. And that is for information this evening. I'll give you a second to review that. Okay. The next item is item C, and I kind of want to talk about items C and D together. So item C is an approval of a resolution to update hiring bonuses to include additional special education personnel. And item D is request for approval of the emergence agreement. So, I know Ms. Cherry. Ms. Cherry was on the board when the board passed the resolution a few years ago. And I think maybe Ms. Simmons as well, with regards to our attempt to be competitive for hiring new staff, specifically special education teachers, math teachers, science teachers. So what I'm asking the board for approval on is to consider adding some additional special ed personnel to the list of bonus recipients. And the bonus would be on a lower tier than what we're paying the teachers. But as we have discussed and as you've heard over the last several years, it is almost impossible not to be in a competitive bidding situation. When I say bid, as far as offering contracts, offering jobs to some of these folks that are in special education, math and science. special education being one specifically where speech and language pathologists and school psychologists are at a premium. And those, if you see my letter of request, currently our speech and language pathologist position it's vacant, and we're currently contracting that with the Educational Service Center, ESC, Montgomery County ESC, and we all have talked about the money that we spend with that organization. And school psychologists, currently we have one internal school psychologist. We really need 3. We're hoping that, after the approval of the personnel agenda this evening, we'll bring that down to 1. But what I'm getting to is the fact that special education folks are at a premium. These folks that come into this district that we hire for SPED, they can go anywhere and get a job. And we have to have some carrot, per se, to be competitive in nature. And then as you look at item D, which is the emergence contract, which we talked about before, this is the third party that we contract out to fill those special education positions that we can't fill internally. Specifically, school psychologists, SPED teachers, intervention specialists as SPED teachers are called. And we're paying, probably double ultimately what it costs on an hourly rate for a school psychologist, for a speech pathologist. So what I'm asking the board to consider is that for this minimum number of people, if we have an opportunity to bring these people in-house instead of contracting externally and paying not only their salary, but paying the company to pay their benefits, and then paying the overhead that we have to pay the company, if we can bring them in-house, how beneficial that'll be to our district, if we can offer them something else in that manner. Is that clear? Okay. Any questions on that? And this is only if we can fill them, because the likelihood of filling these positions is almost 0 to 1. I won't say 0, 1 to none. But we're struggling like everybody to find folks in special education specifically, but for math and science as well. Now, our human resources department, our principals, our curriculum directors, we've interviewed some really good people, and I'll talk to you guys a little later about where we are as far as staffing is concerned. But it has been a struggle to recruit SPED folks, and I just want the board to consider that bonus to include those individuals as well. And if you read the letter, it'll speak directly to who those folks are. Item D is the approval of the emergence agreement. This is the contract that, in the event that we cannot hire SPED personnel, we have to contract with this third-party provider to bring these folks into our district, and we've used them the last couple of years, and we're paying a lot of money to this third party, but we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. The law requires us to provide these services to students, especially those with special needs. So what you see there is the details of the contract, and you also see, if you go to page, I'm trying to find out where that is, the actual cost. We're paying some folks $100+ an hour, but those are the going rates for these third party providers, and that ties into why, if we can get some of these people in-house, we can save this district some money. Well, I think we are going to spend a little more time evaluating that, but the effectiveness, let me say this, the requirement for effectiveness, step 1 is being able to provide the service, being able to have someone that can meet those legally required minutes of IEPs. of the students that we had. And it's, you know, and it's just not Trotwood. It's all across the state, all across the county, and all across the nation. But we have had some, we've had some good staff members that we've had. I even think that we may pulled one away from Emergis. And you see Mr. Manley out there shaking his head. We were able to find one that wanted to work in our district. So we were able to pull one or two away from the company, but we still are unable to fill those, you know, fill all of those positions.
It's
Yes.
on page 16 of the rates.
16, okay, thank you.
Yeah, for the pay.
Yeah.
Actually, how many positions is that, Mr. Allen?
It all depends on what we can't fill. We are going to do everything we can to try to fill these positions that we have open. And I'll share those with you guys a little later, but if we can't fill the positions, then Mr. Nadir and Mr. Manley will actively start working with Emergis to start filling the positions through the third-party contract. And as you can see, just school psychologists in general, you're talking about $110 an hour, you know, for that position. Did you have something to say? Okay.
The people that the candidates they have sent us so far, preliminary talks, are excellent. So that is the really good news about what emergency is provided with properly licensed, highly qualified. Sometimes the cost is balanced by we're not paying healthcare benefits, which for a family package is over $30,000 per person per family. And so that is a savings to the district that it kind of comes out in the wash. Of course, we would rather have our own agent. That's the best practice and the best use of business. But I am impressed with the quality of service that emergency is providing.
Approve that next meeting.
We're able to approve it.
It's on for information. It's on for information. And I thought we were supposed to approve it this evening.
It would be best if we could, because she already said it needs 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they have people leave for official offers for us, which we cannot extend until.
I think we just have to make an amendment for it
Yeah.
and just move the information.
Move it to for approval.
Move for action, I'm sorry, move
Yeah,
that for
so
action.
somebody.
So maybe you can make a motion.
So I wanna make a motion, to approve the.
To move.
Move it
To-
on information.
Action.
To change D to action.
Yes.
Right, change 4D.
I wanna make a motion to change 4D from information to approval.
Action.
For action. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
I do have a question before we call it to vote. Would we not need to make an amendment to the entire agenda before? Because this would be a
Adopted the
change.
agenda.
We adopted the agenda,
Yeah.
so we would need to go back
Change
and change that,
Would.
make that change to the agenda.
So you're suggesting just to change her wording to say, the motion reads to amend the agenda and not just 4D, just amend the agenda to include
To
something like
include
that, to
4D,
include
because
4D.
If we don't do it like that, then I don't think that we will be.
Yeah.
So I need a motion to amend the agenda in reference to 4D from information to
Action.
approve.
I'll move.
I second.
For action, yes.
You ready? You ready?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes.
to make sure it got everybody.
Motion
Okay.
passes, yes.
Okay.
So now, I'm going to ask the board for action on
Yes,
item
4D.
4D, for the approval of the emergence agreement for the school year.
I need a motion for the approval of the emergence agreement.
A motion.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington.
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes.
Okay.
That was a lot, I appreciate that. And, I apologize about that, I don't know, probably just a
Oversight.
gaffer and, gaffer in communication, but we know what we needed to do, and we got it done. I appreciate the board's action on that. The next item for approval is, item E, approval of the personnel agenda. I shared the personnel agenda Friday and Monday with the board. If you had any questions, or if you have any, please let me know, but I do not believe there were any changes, to the agenda as reviewed. The, separation of services, 1 through 13, I'm sorry. Appointments, 13 through 44. Supplemental positions, 45 through 57. And I am asking for action on this evening.
As Superintendent Howard has already mentioned, that he has sent us the personnel agenda for our review. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
Motion.
A second.
Ms. Allen, it's been properly moved in second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes to approve the personnel agenda. Item discussion 5 is, discussion updates.
Okay, I do have some updates, per the items that were sent to me to discuss with the board. The first item I received was an update on the driver's education program. If you make reference to your folder, as always, I provided some documentation on all of the discussion items. Making reference to item A, the first item in your folder, is a email from Mrs. Adams with regards to where we were with the number of students that fulfilled the application and received the scholarships for the driver's education grant. As you can see, that number is identified there, which is a pretty decent number, and it continues to grow up. So we only had to send this year, we only had to send 5 or 6 scholarships back. In years past, I know we had to send a few more than that back. So we are continuing to promote the driver's ed program, the driver's ed grant. And Ms. Adams also talks about how we advertised in the Google Classrooms with the students. Also, we sent out information with regards to Parent Square. We shared a lot of information with the parents, and we had 16 kids bite on that. And then there's also some competition questions on that.
So when will this be reinstated? Because it says, ended.
It ends every year, right, Ms. Adams? And then at the end of the year, what we don't spend, we have to send back, and then it reboots again at the beginning of the next year. So it's a yearly grant. And there's a big pool of money for this across the state. That's why the ESC jumped on it. They tried their hardest to get us to send all of our kids down there, and I told them no. We're going to advertise it within our district as well. So, we are utilizing those funds. Okay, any questions on that? All right. The next item would be designated as item B, and that is in your folder as well. I was asked about the requirements for the STEM designation for schools. So Mrs. Murdoch and I had a conversation about this, and Mrs. Murdoch has expertise with the process to receive a STEM designation, because when she worked in her prior capacity in the prior district, she was on the committee to go through this process. So it's not a, let me get my words correctly, it's not a easy thing to do. It's an application process that you have to go through. And most districts that have these type of designated programs, they usually maybe have multi-high schools, or they're larger districts. And what I've provided the board is some of the comments that Ms. Murdoch shared with me, and then the application process. There's a difference between being a STEAM or STEM school and offering STEAM or STEM programming, which we are definitely offering that programming, but the designation of being STEAM or STEM is a much more complicated process. And I'm gonna defer to Ms. Murdoch just to, provide any feedback or piggyback on some of the things I said, because as I stated before, she was a part of this process and she can give a little more relative information. Ms. Murdoch?
Yeah, so it is a pretty extensive process. You have to follow everything that's in the rubric in the application, but some of the challenges, even when I was in a larger district where we were gonna designate a school which students could choose, were making sure you had all the correct coursework in place and making sure students wanted that coursework. Because if you get the designation of a STEM or STEAM school, then you are saying that every student in this school will participate in these STEM or STEAM classes. So like one of the requirements is that all students take a computer science class, which I do think we should offer computer science, and I'll come back to that. But you have to make sure every student wants to be in these programs. And then another is that all curriculum, it has integrated STEM coursework. So how are you integrating the STEM into your English classroom, and how you're integrating it into your social studies class. So those are some of the things you have to explain and verify in your application process. But it doesn't mean we can't offer STEM pathways, which I do think we have gotten a start on. And then going back to computer science, we were awarded through a grant a career navigator for our district. She started last January, and she's been working with the Ohio STEM network with Matthew Williams in particular. And that's one of the areas they're exploring. How can we add that curriculum, particularly for our middle school and high school students? So we are making some headway. They started last spring by doing an audit of the program that we have, and then we're moving in that direction. How can we add a more established pathway?
So with that, I provided the information about the program, rubric, and anything as far as this designation is concerned, and I wanted to make sure you guys had that information. Okay? Any questions? All right.
We can tell them not too much for this information.
Say what?
It's not too much.
Well, you asked for it. When you ask me for some information, you go get it. Okay. Next is item C, Bob Driver Stadium. So, this is, especially for Ms. Cherry, this is a conversation that has been taking place in this district over the last several years. I started up here in 2013 or 14, I can't remember specifically, and I started talking about the need to address Bob Driver Stadium immediately if we were going to continue to utilize the stadium as an active facility. Since then,
Is Bob
oh,
Stadium, is that the old?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, the old high school stadium, yes, yes.
Just wanna make sure.
Yep. So since then, I have probably brought to the board, not this board specifically, but to the board 3 or 4 different times, cost analysis, concerns with regards to what's going on down at the stadium. So since then, Bob Driver Stadium is no longer an active facility here in the district. We have closed it down No one is utilizing the facility. First time we brought it, we still had active use at the facility. But what I provided to the board is a list of some itemized things that would need to be addressed. And this was from 2017, 2018 initially. This is what needed to be addressed if we were gonna continue for it to be active. If we were going to continue to utilize it as an active facility, these are the things that we just kind of guesstimated through working with some vendors to provide some estimated costs. Now, this was 2017, 2018. So if you turn the page, in 2022, I provided another quote to the board that focused on the demolition of the stadium and what it would cost just for the demolition. And again, this was before tariffs and before inflation and before all of those things. And as you can see, that number was at $297,000. And then if you turn the next page, well, next couple of pages, I provided another quote, and this one was from 21, so the 21 quote should have been first. But I provided this quote from 21 with regards to what the cost would be just for the repair of the bleachers. The bleachers, in layman's terms, are what we would call a death trap at this point. So since then, we have shut those bleachers down. There is no access, actually, there's no access to the facility at this point. So outside of practice for the Pee Wee program, and they just use the field, but there's no access to the bleachers, there's no access there's no running water at this point, there's no electricity. So right now, they just use the field for practice. What was asked of me was to provide an update. So with my update, I'm going to make the statement again that ultimately we are going to have to do something with that space over there. And I know Mr. Lumpkin and I think everybody was at the board, because this may have been prior to you even being on the board. We have talked about some of the, possible conceptualized use for that stadium, but it's all kind of been in kind of a brainstorming type aspect, even with the city of Trotwood. But ultimately, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with that land, what we're gonna do with that parcel. And I know we had some great ideas, but, the board is ultimately gonna have to make a decision.
I guess just from a liability standpoint, since we do have kids practicing there, if a
Right.
kid was to hurt himself,
So, great question. So, the bleachers are off limits.
right,
Anybody that practices over there, the Pee Wee organization
Yeah.
specifically, they are responsible for providing their own insurance.
Okay.
So they have their own liability insurance.
Okay.
So we informed them that you cannot use the bleachers, you cannot use any of these other facilities outside of the green space.
Okay.
So they understand that, and that is embedded in their
Okay.
insurance policy.
yeah,
Yes.
just the liability with
Yep.
kids on that, okay.
Yep, that's a great question.
But they have a contract as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is just for the repair of the bleachers, though, right?
This last one, yeah, this last one was just, because I wanted to give the board just a visual of what the cost, the expense would be for, if we were gonna use the stadium as it was. And that's what the 2016, 17 information was.
Because I know at one point they came to us and suggested affordable housing in that area.
Right, so that was shot down.
Yes.
Right, by the board, that was shot down because, the affordable housing has another connotation to it. And what, the board at that time felt was we did not want to be the reason that they built those homes there and we gave up the land to do that. That was the perspective of the board at that time. That we're not gonna be the reason that they built, what they deemed affordable, but which also could, be low income. But it's housing. Let's not, let's not, it would provide opportunities, but
Right.
it was determined by the board, it was not in the best interest to work with that organization, that company, to give them the land. And I'm not saying anybody we don't have to do anything today, but I was asked to provide an update, and I just wanted to give you guys this information. And maybe a working group or a session.
That's what I was gonna ask, like, have we had like a working session that talks about the reuse of the facility? I know especially with us right now, about to start an alternative school option.
Yeah.
You know, there are youth sports that are going on there now. Have we looked at potentially maybe donating the land to youth sports programs?
A lot of that came up. A lot of that conversation did come up. We met several years ago with Chad over at the CIC, and we talked about some prospects for that. One, which I don't know, I guess it just kind of got lost in, you know, transition and conversation and all of the other things that were going on in the world, COVID. One was turning it into a public park where you would still have access to the fields for the youth sports programs, but it would be an in-kind project between ourselves and the city. And we had that conversation, but as I stated, once COVID hit and once everything else kind of moved up on the priority list, that conversation stopped.
And when you parcel out Bob Driver Stadium and where the old high school is.
Three parcels over
Three
there.
separate parcels.
Three parcels. The largest being the stadium and the school, the old school area. The smallest parcel being right there in between, like around where the baseball park is. Yeah, but there are three parcels over there.
What about the track? Like, what's the condition of the track?
If you go over to the track now, it's like sand.
It's as much of a hazard, if
Yeah.
not more than the
Yeah.
bleachers. I was just over there, I was over there last week.
Yeah, the track is it's in disrepair. If we would utilize, well, excuse me, one of the points of discussion was working with the city to replace the track, but not a competition track, but
Right.
just to replace the surface.
Like a walking track?
Exactly, yeah, to
I was
replace the
gonna ask
surface.
that.
To replace the surface and putting, putting some park benches, playgrounds, and then
Do we have an
utilizing that, that space.
Do we have an estimated cost on what it would cost to just remove the bleachers?
Well, it was a part of the demolition, excuse me, and I think, if I remember correctly, the 297 initially was for the demolition of everything. The bleachers by itself, I think, was around 87 or 90, but that was in 22. That was in 22, but we can,
Talking about 30%
yeah,
increase on that.
yeah, right, yes, I'm sorry, not yet,
Well, when I go walking, I have to go to Meadowdale's track,
right.
you know, if I wanna get my steps in, to really get them
Just go
in.
to Trotwood-Madison.
You can go to the high school too.
Can you go to the high
In the
school?
morning,
Yes.
yeah, it's open in the
Well,
morning. Yeah,
I'm not available in the morning.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's open tonight too.
Is it
during practice when someone's there.
when someone's there?
Now, doing school, when
Yeah.
school's in,
It's different.
especially if the kids are in session because they utilize the track, we prevent, citizens from using the track because they can't interact with the kids. But in the summertime, we open it up in the morning, there are people there. But what we talked about with the city is making it an open, public use facility. And that conversation just died.
What would it look like to put some sort of structure there though? To where there was still some sort of indoor access?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
get rid of the existing buildings, like the concession stand, storage, the old locker room. Maybe do some smaller bleacher, and then do something like pickleball, where tennis courts used to be. This is just my idea, is like.
Yeah,
if you're
your
gonna
wheels
spend-
are turning, yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna spend that kind of money, and then you could still probably do some sort of home buying, home building, because I know the CIC right now has a lot of different construction people working on building homes. So maybe you could look at potentially doing some neighborhood stuff too,
Yeah.
but neighborhood things, not.
What we'd have to do ultimately is we'd have to figure out if there are some grant funds out there and working with the city, because right now, that type of vision from a project standpoint, from a scope, we can't afford to do that on
We
our own.
can't afford it.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
came out the finance
Yeah,
meeting.
we can't
We
afford.
can't.
Yeah, we can't afford to do that on our own, but if there's some public use grants out there or some you know, we've got to re-engage with the city in that, and I plan to do that, and I know through the CIC, you know, maybe that's some conversation that you can have, but we initially, we as the board, we as the district, we have to make it safe. You know, that's the
Right.
number one priority, making it safe.
That's why I asked about the removal of the bleachers.
Yeah, so through, you know,
And that
maybe.
press box, that's also-
Yeah, which is gonna fall down if we don't get, get it addressed. But I think, you know, my recommendation for consideration would be, allow us to just start conversation about what you said, the removal of the bleachers, getting some estimates, and then ultimately, if it's over that $75,000 threshold, it's something that we'd have to go out to public bid for demolition. But, I think initially, we need to really consider the demolition of the grandstands and the press box on both sides. Because as bad as the ones are on this side, the ones on the other side, the metal ones.
Oh, because they have, there's no, like, the home side has the metal.
Right.
The other side. you can
Doesn't
just
have
fall
anything, you can fall through. Yeah. So, if we're okay with that, I can start working with Mr. Mays, and we can start just getting some information about what that would cost. And then I'd have to bring that back to the board, and if we decide to move forward and go out for bid, then we'll make that happen. Okay? All right. All righty. And then the last bit of information that I was asked to share was an update on House Bill 96. So what I've provided to you, which will be identified as item D in your packet, is a statement from the Ohio School Boards Association that identifies the 67 line items that were vetoed by the governor, and then specifies those key educational vetoed items that would affect school districts, public school districts in a sense. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, excuse me, there are 7 specifically that he line item vetoed that spoke specifically to some of the things that we've been discussing over the last several weeks. And if you turn the page, there is a letter that the Ohio School Boards Association and the Mid-Size Urban Leadership Group has put together, that they wanted us to share with with our local representatives, senators, legislators, that focus specifically on those items that we want to focus on for the legislators, because as Governor DeWine line item vetoed these 7 items, the legislator has determined that they're going to take it back to the session, because they're going to try to override some of the line items that he vetoed. Now, the specific point for us, which is a celebration in a sense, is that the one with reference to the 40% cap, what we've heard and the information that we've received, that is not one that is going back to the legislature, for overriding the veto. And Ms. Allen, or Ms. Adams, can you concur that 40% cap? So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for school districts across the state, but there's some other things that, we do have concerns about, especially if this district ever has to go out for a levy. So what I've done is I've identified the line items 65, 67, 65, and 50, and 65. Those are the ones specifically as far as those line items, and those are those bills that he vetoed, and each of those makes reference to the line item number in the actual veto. So 65 and 66, it talks about the 20 mil floor calculation, and then the school district property tax restrictions. So those are the ones that speak specifically to those line items that he has, as in the governor has vetoed. But these are the ones that we're focusing on as legislative lobbying committees to ensure that our representatives, our senators, and our legislators know we do not want the House and the Senate to override these vetoes. I know that was a lot. So the 40 mil cap, the 40% overage is gone, but there are still some other issues that are very, very relevant to school districts, especially if you're going out for levies. The other one that was he also vetoed was the declaration for school board members to declare a party. So he vetoed that as well. And, you know, we can say what we want to say about the governor, but he made some very practical sense with regards to why would a school board have to declare a party or be partisan, because school boards are not supposed to be partisan. It's not partisan work. And if you look at the 57 or 60 page vetoes and the description of the line items, he was very, very deliberate about, you know, making sure people understood that this is not supposed to be partisan work. Any questions about 96? And as we move through this process of what takes place in the legislature, I will make sure I update you guys with regards to that. All right? And that is it for discussion items, the ones that were sent to me. All right? All right. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. You got it.
Yes, sir, you didn't have to do all of them on one meeting.
What'd you say?
You didn't have to do all of them on one meeting, I was.
Well, if you sent me something, I told you guys.
You get two discussions.
Okay,
Ms. Chair.
okay, two, I'm sorry. Going forward, just two.
All right.
All right, item number 6, treasure comments.
Yep, I have one item I'd like to read to everyone. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to serve the Trotwood-Madison as their treasurer and chief financial officer. I wish the Board of Education, superintendent, incoming treasurer, CFO, staff, and students much success. I am only a phone call away and hope to do some periodic consulting work over the next year. That's it. But thank you so much. Appreciate it. For our last meeting. It's been a good 14 years for me, and I will not, you'll see me in the stands, and you'll see me sometimes at the board meetings, I'm sure, if something
Please.
comes up and I need to come and speak. But I won't be a stranger to you guys. But thank you for everything. We will appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
That's all you have, Mrs. Allen?
That's all I had, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
back to superintendent.
Okay.
Superintendent comments.
So I do have a few comments this evening. As we are moving through July, and because we did not have 2 meetings this week, I wanted to make sure the board was aware of a lot of, not this week, this month, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure the board was aware of a few things that are going to take place prior to August. So the first thing is, of course, as always, I've provided you a update for July and August. There are some dates on there that are very, very heavily related to some of the work that we've been doing as far as our planning is concerned. For July, you can see that on the 23rd through the 25th, members of the district leadership team will be attending the Professional Learning Communities Institute in Indianapolis, Indiana. The 28th and 29th, there is going to be an admin retreat from 8 to 3:30 at Madison Lakes Conference Center. That will be all of our district admin team as well. A lot of the same folks that are attending the PLC Institute are going to be attending the admin retreat. And then on the 30th and 31st, we will be having our new staff orientation. And if you take a second to look in your folders through document E, and when I say through, because document E has several things to it. The first is the tentative agenda for, the first item is the tentative agenda for the admin retreat. It is a tentative agenda, but those are some of the things that we will be covering. We'll finish the agenda on Tuesday, and I'll just share the agenda with the board so you guys can see exactly what our content is going to be on the 28th and the 29th, and that is a front and back document. Next is the tentative agenda for the new staff orientation. Again, a front and back document. This orientation will be run by Mr. Manley and the HR staff, and then, of course, with the inclusion of all of the other directors and departments. And this gives you some updated information on all of the things that are going on or taking place during the new staff orientation. And that is a front and back document as well. And then last is the agenda for the high impact teams in professional learning communities work. This is the conference that we will be taking our leadership team to in Indianapolis. It gives a very detailed overview of the focus of what will be taking place in Indianapolis, what our staff will be attending. It also has a description of the breakout sessions that the staff will be attending, and a summary of all of the keynote speakers and trainers with regards to the PLC conference. So I wanted you guys to be up to speed, because when we come back for our first meeting in August, all of this would have already taken place. And I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all of the things as far as us preparing ourselves for the upcoming school year. We're really excited about the professional learning communities implementation here in the district. If you remember, at the beginning of the year, June, the beginning of the summer, June, the entire administrative team had a 2-day training with a trainer from Solution Tree, and this all is connected with regards to the direction that the district is going with regards to professional learning communities, where we focus on the 3 big ideas of learning, committing to collaborating, and focusing on results. And we are driven by those essential questions of what do we want our kids to learn? What do we do if they don't learn it? What do we do if they do? And then, any questions? Okay. All right. So that's just an overview for that. PLCs pushing forward. All right. And then the last document I have, and then I'm going to stop talking. But part of it is Ms. Cherry's fault.
2-item discussion, I get it, I got it.
So I did want to share with the board that we are still in the process of working through the strategic plan. So again, this is the strategic plan that I've shared with the board, and I started talking about on the 12th of April. Our next step is to work through our action steps. And what I provided you is a document, a draft document of action steps that are measurable and that we can be held accountable to when it comes to how we are going to work towards our goals. Now, this is a document that is still in draft form. The intent is to have this document complete by the first day, the convocation, where we can start sharing it out with first our staff and then other stakeholders. But if you look at the document, if you look at those action steps, it gives you the goal, it gives you what the action step is, it gives you a description of what the action step is, why it matters, and the 3 or 4 key bullets that I will update the board regularly on to ensure that we are meeting our goals with regards to implementation and pushing our strategic plan. Real quickly, as far as implementation, implementing a consistent and research-based instructional framework. That is the action step for goal one. That is the action step one for delivering high-quality instruction for every student. So what are those key actions? Refining an instructional framework based on current research, providing professional learning and coaching throughout the year, monitoring and implementing through classroom walkthroughs and feedback cycles. So all of this work that we're doing in our PLCs, all of this work that we're doing as far as our administrative teams, what we're going to do is produce documents where we can monitor the implementation, hold people accountable, and make sure we are all on the same page when we talk about instruction in our classrooms and the focus of learning for our kids. Our goal is to push Trotwood-Madison forward from the standpoint of achievement, and we're going to do it through our strategic plan. And then what we're formulating is a document that has goals that may be a little more targeted or a little more specific, but I'm getting a lot of implementation from, a lot of responses and information from different stakeholders. I've got information from outside sources. I've got information from the union because I send them the strategic plan, and I talk to them about action steps, and I talk to them about goals. So Mr. Graham the other day sent me almost a 2-page, perspective from the union on what action steps would look like. So once we conclude and we put this document together, this will be a living document where I can come to the board and say, have we chosen or refined an instructional framework based on current research? And then I can show you a product that this is our instructional framework. This is what it looks like. And then we can check that off and say that we've done it. And then as you go through the goals for creating safe and supportive inclusive environments, gives you 2 or 3 different action steps and key actions. You go to goal 3, operate with transparency and excellence. It gives you 3 or 4 action steps, and then it gives you those key actions for each of those action steps. So all 3 of our goals, all 3 of our focus points, and then the action steps to measure, and then our ability to show that we have accomplished some of the things that we said we're going to do.
Okay.
All right? And that's it. That's all I have. You got any questions? As always, you can email me or and then also expect email. I may ask you for some information with regards to what those action steps could look like.
Any questions for Mr. Howard?
What do we want them to learn? How do we know that they learn? What do we do with those that haven't learned it? What do we do with those kids that already have? So if the kids got it, what does enrichment look like to keep pushing them back? Those are the 4 essential questions of the professional learning community. All right.
Okay. Board comments, Mrs. Currington?
Welcome, Mr. Nadir. I don't think we did that at the last meeting. I don't think we welcomed you. I'm not sure if we did, but I just want to say welcome back to Trotwood-Madison. As always, I thank the staff for all of the hard work that they do. We appreciate you guys. We could not do this without you. Keep making us look good, Mr. Manley. Mr. Howard, thank you for all of that information, and as Sonia said, next time too, we'll do. Jill, welcome aboard, next month. And then, last but not least, Miss Allen, we're sad to see you go, but we hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
So come back and see us.
Well,
Mrs. Kilgore?
I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. The Ram Nation was very innovative, anything with technology, I assume to get off on. And then Miss Allen, warm regards for your future endeavors and retirement, and welcome Jill. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Lumpkin?
Well, congratulations, Ms. Allen, on retirement again. Welcome back to the district to Mr. Nadir. And those of you who work for us Thanks for staying on for another round. I'm excited about the school year. It looks like we've got a lot of good things
Okay.
going on. And, the presentation Deshaun gave was really good, so that's exciting. And just, everybody, students, be safe out there, finishing up your summer, and it's about that time to get back to school and everything. That's it.
Mrs. Simmons?
Again, I'll say great presentation from Mr. Byrd this evening. I appreciated that. It's always, I'm always looking for different career paths for our students here at Trotwood, so that was great information. Mr. Howard, always thanks for your diligence in providing us, always uploading us with the information so we don't have to ask the questions. Thanks to our President Cherry for always being ahead of the game and asking all the questions for us. So thank you both for working hard for us every day. Jill, welcome aboard. Hope you can handle this rowdy group. Miss Allen, we hate to see you go, but we know that there's something else in store for you, and we know that you're only a phone call away. So we will be calling, and thank you for your services to the district, to our families, to our students. So thank you.
As everyone has already said, congratulations, Mrs. Allen, on your retirement. We welcome Mr. Nadir. We welcome Jill in your new role. I just want to thank Mr. Howard as our superintendent because we are student focused, and I really appreciate that. Just to help us prepare our students to reach their highest level of potential. Great presentation, Mr. Byrd. I'm hoping that we can adopt his presentation and it can be used for our students. But with that being said, I don't have anything else. Oh, and then the August the 4th. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, yeah, I wanted to,
Okay.
because I wanted to make sure everybody knew, because we won't meet prior to the first week of school. So the back to school bash is on the 2nd. The National Night Out, that's the city of Trotwood. The 4th will be the freshman orientation at the high school. Staff returns on the 5th, and that's convocation. So I'll be sending you guys some information about
Put 'em on my
convocation,
calendar.
just to make sure that, you know, if you're available, you can get it on your calendar, and then reminding Ms. Cherry that she does have to make a speech. So
Convocation.
I just wanted to make sure those dates prior to our next meeting, you guys have on your calendar. Okay?
Any questions from Priscilla? With that being said, I need a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per BOE Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22, G1, and to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment per ORC 121.22, G4, action may be taken.
A motion.
I second.
It's been moved to second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes. We will enter into executive session at 7:05.
It's gonna be 10 minutes. You want
Okay. That's it.
real 10 minutes?
Okay, starts at 11. Is it at the middle school?
It's gonna be at the high school.
This high school this year?
I gotta use the restroom
At the school
first.
bash.
High school, convocations at the high school is seven.
This is not.
My left foot.
What day?
My left foot been tingled.
Oh my God.
4th.
5th for convocation.
The 5th, that's the first day for staff day.
Staff day.
Okay.